Brown, the Poro feeder.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Lore League of
The
Legends.
heart of the Freljord.
In this episode, we'll be returning to the Freljord to take a look at a champion
Freljord,
who,
Jesus Christ, I don't know why I keep going with
possesses
Freljord.
the most epic moustache in the
Freljord.
league. I am, of course, talking about Brom, the heart of the Freljord. Enjoy.
Oh.
There are many stories and tales that come from the Freljord, but none quite so enchanting and as heroic as the tales of Brom. From protecting against dragons or racing down rivers of lava, there is one story that describes his heroism more so than any other. Brom was a farmer that tended to sheep and goats. Everyone knew him as the kindest man they had ever met, and always with a smile across his face and a laugh on his lips. One day, a young troll boy was climbing the mountain, and eventually stumbled across a vault that was set into the mountainside. The entrance was guarded by a huge stone door with a shard of true ice at its centre. The troll boy opened the door and to his bewilderment found that it was filled with gold, jewels, and every other kind of treasure that could be imagined. The vault was a trap, however, that had been cursed by the Ice Witch. The troll boy entered and the door clanged shut behind him, locking the boy inside. And try as he might, the boy couldn't get out.
Okay.
Everyone rushed to help, but even the strongest of warriors couldn't open the door. The boy's parents were beside themselves, and his mother's wails of grief echoed around the mountain. All seemed hopeless, and everyone thought the boy would die within his prison. Then, in the distance, came a distinct laugh. Brom had come striding down the mountainside upon hearing their cries. The villagers told him of the troll boy and Ice Witch's curse. He smiled, nodded, turned to the vault, and faced the door. With all his might he pulled it, pushed it, kicked it, tried to rip it from its hinges, but to his own shock, the door would not budge. For 4 days and nights Brom sat on a boulder, trying to think of a solution. He couldn't let it go. After all, a child's life was at stake. But as the sun rose on the 5th day, his eyes widened and a broad grin lit up his face. If he couldn't go through the door, then all he would have to do was go through the mountain.
Through the window.
Immediately he headed to the summit, stood upon its peak and began punching his way straight down, pummeling into the stone, fist after fist, rocks flying in his wake, until he had vanished deep into the mountain.
We couldn't break the door?
The villagers held their breath and the rock around the door crumbled. As the dust cleared, they saw Brom standing amidst the treasure with the weak but happy troll boy in his arms. But before the villagers could celebrate, everything around them began to rumble and shake. Brom's barrage had left the mountaintop weakened and unsteady, and now it was caving in on itself. Thinking quickly, Brom grabbed the enchanted door and held it above him as a shield, protecting them as the mountaintop collapsed around them. When it was over, Brom was amazed that there wasn't a single scratch on the door. To him, this door was something special, and from that moment on, that magical shield never left his side. And that's all I've got for you this time around. Let me know what you thought of the video by hitting that like button and leaving your feedback in the comment section below. Don't forget that every other channel...
I'd say, well, the story-wise it's like whatever, but as far as like punching through the mountain, like alright. That's cool.
This man they had ever met, an vault that was set into the mountainside. The entrance was guarded by a huge stone door with a shard of true ice at its centre. The troll boy opened the door and to his bewilderment found that it was filled with gold, jewels, and every other kind of treasure that could be imagined. Mountainside upon hearing their cries. The villagers told him of the troll boy and Ice Witch's curse. He smiled, nodded, turned to the vault, and faced the door. With all his might, he pulled it, pushed it, kicked it, tried to rip it from its hinges, but to his own shock, the door would not budge. For 4 days and nights, Braum sat on a boulder, trying to think of a solution. He couldn't let it go. After all, a child's life was at stake.
Okay, so to save a child, he went through the mountain. Got it. Okay, alright. Very noble of him, but whatever. Is what it is. Alright. Guess we'll go next. Is what it is. Not a very interesting story, but yeah. He's very... Well, I know he loves children to the point like... and poros and shit, but... Okay. He broke through a mountain to get to a child, I guess.